Welcome to RainbowSoul Vodcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Brighthawk's positive perspective and LeKross's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to RainbowSoul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else RainbowSoul is offered on our website at RainbowSoul.show.
Welcome to RainbowSoul Soulstrology Forecast. I'm Hollis Taylor, and I'm one of your astrologers here today. I do all sorts of private readings for people that have passed, or for you in your future, and synastry and all sorts of things. And you can find that on my website, and there's a link in the description. And
hi there, I'm Brighthawk. It's good to be back here at Rainbow Soulstrology. I'm an artist, author. You can learn more about me at Brighthawk Productions. I'm a storyteller, I'm a musician. I'm always happy to support the meditations with the music here. And
I'm LeKross Ortiz. I kind of hang around to learn what's going to happen during the week and give a little input on the end with some animal. I hate to call it astrology. It's not astrology animals, but it's just some guides from our animal friends. And
wisdom.
Yeah, animal wisdom. There we go. Animal wisdom. You can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and also you can order the book for the color journal for learning the major arcana and tarot in the description.
That's right. Yeah. You can find the link to that. And, you can always just, on Amazon, you can always go to someone's, profile. Like, you can go to the author's profile and see all the books that they own or all the books that they offer or whatever. Just a by the way. And, all right. So, we're going to do what I wanted to include, LeKross, is that there's actually a couple of our followers, somebody mentioned actually the wisdom that you bring through as being priceless, actually.
Aw, thank you.
So, and I was trying to remember who that was. It was Meredith Davis. Meredith Davis,
yeah.
Thank you.
I know
for
Meredith.
Commenting. And Meredith Davis.
Blessings on your journey right now from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Oh,
making a journey
okay.
right now. Yeah. Moving.
Is that true, Meredith? Is
Yeah.
Meredith moving?
Yeah,
oh,
moving
okay.
from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Whoa.
Back to Santa Cruz.
Wow.
In California, from Boston.
Yeah. Oh, and so they said that LeKross, your insight brought it all home. Wow.
Nice.
So
see, we're all a team that
Yep.
everybody contributes. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk about that part.
And this one, you are very wise.
Thanks. I appreciate that. All right. So we're going to do a little meditation right now. So hopefully you can take a moment to ground yourself in this here and now. Take a few deep breaths. Let your feet touch the floor. Feel your body on the seat. Be present with your body as you imagine yourself outside with your feet on the ground, staring up at a beautiful night sky with the stars shining bright. The moon full and glowing. And as we stare up up at the sky, a constellation pulls forward out of the sky towards us. And as this constellation pulls forward closer to you, an icon with a goat-looking creature with horns see the big horns on the top. And you recognize this as Aries. Aries steps forward, gets us out of the gate, gets us going, kicks things off, gets the party started. And as we step into the new year in Aries season, as we celebrate the new year right now, the environmental new year, we step into Aries as we begin the new year. And Aries in itself is strong and independent, ready to take off at any time, pushing us forward, embracing our independence, finding our strong body, finding our super strong body, pushing us to find our own strong bodies, to get in touch with our bodies, to feel them completely and fully. And as we stay in our body, we can feel our power within us. Pushing us forward towards our destination. Reminding us that these bodies carry us there. And as Aries slides back up into the constellation, into the stars above us, the constellation becomes part of the stars above us, we are reminded and energized to go forward, to get ourselves out of the gate, to get moving. Bodies grounded fully with our feet on the ground, our seats in the bottom, our bottoms in the seats. Stretch your fingers, take a deep breath, and come in to the here and now. I invite you to open your eyes. become present with Rainbow Soul. Welcome back. Woohoo!
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bright Hawk. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
And I want to give a little shout out to someone else that commented. Candy Joe said they love watching every week, and they also said they enjoy the meditations. So I hope that meditation works for you. And you know, if you listen to this show every week, you get a different meditation, and eventually you'll learn the astrology. Does it help you? Does it help you, LeKross? Does it help
Yeah,
you?
it
Like,
does.
okay.
Yeah, you
Gives
really
you
get
like
the
the
flavor.
feel, the flavor of whatever.
It's the flavor of the week.
Yeah, it is like the flavor of the week. I try to pick stuff that we're dealing with that week.
Yeah.
And for sure, even you, LeKross, were saying that you were, you know, working on things for your body, and a lot of people are looking at their bodies right now, and it's not unusual in spring for us to be paying attention during Aries season because the sun is there. And a lot of people worry about their bodies in the spring. Like, here comes summer, I'm going to be in a bathing suit or something. Like, you're going to quickly lose 50 pounds or something. But I think all bodies come in all shapes and sizes, and I think that's perfectly reasonable. And also, I know for me, I'd really like to spend some more time outside, but, well, currently it's snowing.
Not at this particular moment. It's snowing really hard.
Well, it's pretty cold over here too. It's been pretty, like, the wind has been really bitter,
Mm.
you know, and I'm like, we're supposed to be in spring, and I'm like,
Well, March usually goes out like a lamb, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully it will calm down there. But Aries, we are definitely dealing with Aries because, well, the eclipses are going to be in there. And so we are in eclipse season at this time. We are currently, when we're recording this, we're in eclipse season, and this entire week is eclipse season. The eclipse is Sunday night, or Monday morning, depending on where you live. And so if you're not aware of it, you missed last week or something, just know that you are shedding. I found it really cool. I found this meme with a big elephant running through, and I thought that was interesting because, you know, Ganesha is known for removing all obstacles. Because you got to get rid of whatever you're getting rid of now to make room for the next big thing. Okay, so let's make room for it. So whatever you're getting rid of, whatever you're having to change, let go of, lose, or whatever, try not to avoid the change. Try to embrace the change. You'll do yourself so much with so many favors. if you fight against it, it's probably not going to go well.
Remember the times when you risked it and it went well, and then fill yourself up with that feeling and say risks are worth taking. Because when we take ourselves out of the game, the only one who loses, and the one who loses most, is us.
Right.
So let's not do that to ourselves. Let's fill ourselves up with, I can do this. And sometimes you got to let go to let in.
For sure. And that's a lot of that going on right now. Either it's what already happened for you or is happening now, or is sort of brewing in the background right now, depending on your placements. But for sure, there's something you have to let go. I was listening to an astrologer that was a guest on Nadia Shaw's channel, and she was saying that, and I think even Nadia Shaw has said it, that this eclipse is powerful for the entire human population. Okay?
Yeah. We'll see when we get to the charts. The fact that the North Node is right with Chiron is just, there's a lot there. There's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a big deal. So let's take a look at the charts here. Let's open this up.
So the very last week of March is what we're talking about this time. And hopefully last time you listened to our talk about the eclipse. We're going to kind of move on from that, but we'll touch on it because it's happening on the 25th, the lunar eclipse.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that you listen to last week's lunar eclipse talk, because we definitely covered the lunar eclipse last time. But we'll touch on it again this time, but we'll be talking about how that will be sort of manifesting or unfolding this week.
And the things that it's going to really light up, because eclipses, right? The moon, it'll be a full moon. Obviously, the moon is opposite the sun, and it's the shadow of the earth that goes across the moon, and it's this eclipsing moment. So if you have things between 5 and 15 degrees, because the full moon will be at 5 degrees and the nodes will be at 15 degrees. So anything between those 2 points, and however they're aspecting Aries and Libra, is those are the folks who are going to feel this the most, in Aries and in Libra. So Aries right now, we started with an Aries meditation because it's Happy New Year, happy birthday, Aries.
Right.
And opposite the sky from Aries is Libra, hanging out with the South Node. And so folks with Libra placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, folks with Aries placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, or strong placements between 5 and 15, you are definitely going to want to pay attention. Set some intentions. That's where real magic comes from, is by starting to say, wow, I'm so grateful for my life, and I want to set some intentions about what I want to do going forward.
I do know that
Great
the
time to do
larger
it.
part of the population has Chiron in Aries. So, because
Yeah,
Chiron,
because it's very elliptical.
because Chiron spends a lot of time in Aries. So there's a lot of us that have Chiron. Not everybody, but a lot of people has Chiron in Aries. And so Chiron is in Aries right now. And it's part of this eclipse. So Chiron is, we've told the story before in the past.
The wounded healer.
Yeah, I think I might have it marked. If you look at YouTube, look for the wounded healer. I can't remember what week it was, but for sure Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is the part of us that is wounded from the past, that tries to heal that wound, and hopefully tries to heal that wound and then try to help others heal that wound. And that's the healer, right? Okay. And so not everybody heals it. I'm just going to say, obviously, not everybody heals those wounds. Some people carry those wounds around. And hopefully those wounds don't manifest into other things that we don't like. So, but hopefully you can embrace the healing. If you're listening to this, you're probably going to embrace the healing. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we've had going on for a bit is the sun has been conjunct Neptune. So think of the sun lighting up all your visions and dreams and thoughts around what you really want, need, what have you. And now the sun is starting to separate away from Neptune. And so it's good to be reflective. It's good to be thinking about it and paying attention to, okay, now that the sun's in Aries and Neptune's still hanging out at home and in Pisces, I think it's the soul depositor in the chart. Depositor is when the one that rules is at home there. It's deposited there. So Neptune's been in Pisces for a really long time. And so having the sun conjunct has been really illuminating. Maybe there's things you're seeing really clearly now. But now it's going to start to separate. It's going to start moving towards that conjunction of the North Node, Chiron, and Mercury.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I also noticed is, there's a yod pointing at the South Node there. So, there's...
Oh, right. We talked about the week ended on a yod last week. Yeah.
So it's very faded, and it's very much like looking at your history, looking at the past. And by Monday, the moon is, if you're watching the video, all of a sudden I got a thumbs up. I guess Spirit agreed. And so the South Node, if you're listening to this, on Monday, or so it's like Sunday, Monday, probably even Tuesday, this will probably all be going on. And it's pulling from Saturn in Pisces, which is very much about the system, but also authority figures, and father figures, and masculinity, as well at, but it's in Pisces, so it tends to be the emotional side of it. And when I sometimes think about the structures in Pisces, all I can think of is like a sand castle. And of course, a sand castle, as far as the structure goes, is, well, it's easily washed away, right? So I've built tons of sandcastles that got washed away by the tides. So and it's, so the yacht is kind of pointing down. You can see the two red lines that are pointing down at the bottom where the moon is and where the south node is. And that's really what we're doing. It's asking us to pull from, maybe some structures that are falling apart, that are no longer working. The tide has sort of come in and washed away some of it, and maybe it's not working anymore for us, or we can see it's not going to work in the future. And then Jupiter in Taurus is very much about philosophies and and our, it's a positive thing. It's a positive change, wanting to be a better person, wanting to move past those old wounds. And with the south node down there pointing at the south node with the moon, it just makes me think, like, if you haven't had intuition about what you're shedding yet, you got it now. Most of us are going to probably already know, but there could be some surprises in regards to that. Like, you could start moving away from it, and there could be like a little bit of a surprise, because Jupiter and Uranus are only 4 degrees apart. They're only 4 degrees apart, and that's at the bottom of that. That's at the bottom of that yod,
with Venus and
so
Saturn on the other side.
So it could be a surprise, like, maybe you quit doing something and you're surprised at how easy it was, or you're surprised at how much better you feel actually that you're not doing that. Or or maybe you feel better that you are doing it. Like for me, like I have to, not let my Jupiter win and go for a walk. Okay, so Jupiter can sometimes be a little.
But with Venus and Saturn now conjunct, I'm wondering now about setting boundaries, maybe changing the structure of a relationship. And of course, Venus represents all relations, not just your lover and,
right.
And
your relationship with money.
Yeah. So, so it could also speak to your work relationship. And the fact that it's conjunct Saturn makes me go, maybe it's about boundaries. Maybe it's about saying, work, this much I'm willing to give, this much I'm not willing to give. This is the time I get paid for, and my availability ends there, or whatever it is. But because you have Saturn, which is all about structure, conjunct Venus, which is all about relationships, that's where we start to go, this looks like, and it's fluid because it's in Pisces. So it could also be spiritual. It could be intuitive. You have an intuitive sense about some structural thing needs to change, or something needs to happen. Now, the other thing I want to point out, with, as long as I'm talking about Venus and Saturn, is that yod, the base, is Uranus and Jupiter, and the other side of the base is Venus and Saturn, pointing at the moon in the south node. So the moon, when the moon is in Libra, Libra is ruled by Venus. So that means that the moon is answering to Venus. So there's some fated energy in that in that yod, which means you're not going to have a lot of choice about it. It's going to happen. And with the moon and Venus involved, I really think your intuition is going to be lit, especially with Venus and Pisces. And Libra, of course, is all about balance, fairness, being diplomatic, appreciating nice things, making sure everything's organized in a good way, and it can be managed in a good way. Fairness is really important. And then of course an appreciation for the fine things, because Venus is their ruler, and Venus loves good things, loves good times, loves good things, good food, good. What's the good stuff in life? So there could be something really good that could happen that way. And it's probably something that's just very fated, that, wow, boom, there it is. And you just do it. Don't fight it. As you were saying earlier, if there's something that needs to happen or change,
Don't fight
go
it.
with it.
Yeah.
Go with it.
Go with it for sure. And I'm glad that, this is happening, because worldwide, we definitely could use some shedding of the old ways and moving into better structures, and moving into a better way. And that's really what's going to happen, because the moon is going to move out of Aries very quickly, or out of Libra very quickly. So it's a full moon during this time, right? So we're at a full moon. March
Yeah,
1st,
and then
right?
the other thing that I think is very favorable, it seems pretty obvious, because the Jupiter-Uranus sextile Venus-Saturn, that Venus also rules Taurus, and we're having closer and closer Jupiter and Uranus. This is a slow dance of two really big outer planets coming together for months. This is going to happen, and it's in Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And so again, what worries me is that for some people it's probably going to be really good, but I'm afraid that for some people it's going to be quite the opposite.
And it might, well, and that's Uranus. It's going to depend on how much you're on your path.
Yeah.
So
Uranus is the great unpredictable.
yeah, it's very unpredictable, and that's sort of the nature of it. And since it's with Jupiter, it's going to be big, and that's why I said we're coming up on big changes here. So, with those two, makes me also think about like money and money structures and things like that. So, pay attention, listen to your intuition, I think, is the best advice you could get. Really.
For sure.
Really, especially during an eclipse. Listen to your intuition. All right. So Mercury's making its move. So we're going to have to talk about that. So during this time, Mercury has been sort of going over the area that it's what we call in shadow. It's a shadow period. And that'll be going on till April 1st when it goes retrograde. It's sort of saying, okay, so you're doing all this right now, but you're probably going to have to do it again when I go retrograde. Okay? So whatever you're doing right now, you may have to do it again when Mercury goes retrograde April 1st. Okay? So, or that you'll have to deal with this subject again. And you can notice that the yod has now moved. It's at least depleted. The numbers, things are moving away from the yod there, and the moon is moving away from the south node. And Mercury is reviewing that shadow area. So Mercury retrograde in Aries makes me feel like you're going to be reviewing your body. You're going to be reviewing your fitness plan, your diet. Yeah, and it could have a little bit to do with like old wounds and things like that, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And definitely activity, or if there's something that you haven't gotten started yet, helping you get out the gate. So I don't want you to not go out the gate because you know that Mercury's going to go retrograde, right? So go ahead and go out the gate. Just be prepared that you might have to review it. You might have to change it.
And that's not terrible.
No?
Call it refinement.
Right.
Quality. Yeah. Quality is important. The other thing that is happening is that Mercury and Chiron are opposite the waning gibbous moon. Now the moon is starting to shed, right? So we're starting to shed towards the new moon, which is when we'll have the solar eclipse on April 8th. The moon is going to be void of course. That's the last aspects of the sign. It means when the moon is no longer has any Ptolemaic aspects. This is what we call a void of course moon. I know that's a lot of words and blah, blah, blah. What it really means. Cut to the chase. What does it mean, man? It means that the moon at the very end of a sign starts to It's not that strong. Okay. So we call it a void of course moon. And so the Libra void of course moon will be from 4 p.m. Pacific time to 2 a.m. So Tuesday night, you might want to take off the night. Now, I've been taking a moon class all about everything about the moon. And I learned something about what can be really helpful in a void of course moon. So when the moon is void, lots of people, and astrologers in particular, make sure that they do not do anything during the void of course moon. Don't initiate stuff. Don't take on a new project. Think about it in terms of like, if you were going to launch your boat out to sea, well, you're not going to do it when the tide's coming in. That would make it really hard, wouldn't it? So you chill, just wait. The tide's going to change. Once the tide goes, boom, let's go with it. Right. And so, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So she was saying, well, things that a void of course moon can be good for are things that when you know you have something where it could push somebody's buttons, where it could be very triggering, and you don't want them to go off the handle, do it during a void of course moon when there's not as much energy, especially if they're a lunar person who's really driven. Like, don't do it when it's their most volatile time. Let it just like, and I thought, oh my God, that's brilliant. She was like, it can work on your boss. Maybe you want to ask for a raise. And I was like, wow, think of how much power you have if you pay attention to the void of course moon. You take a break when you need it. And if you need to deliver difficult information or something that you just don't want to have hit a snag, you just want it to just, and you're like, wow, that went through no problem. You could use these little windows for that. So I will continue to include them because I thought that was a bit of brilliance.
Yeah, and I would say, like, if you're an intuitive reader, I'm an intuitive reader. I use my moon. I wouldn't do any readings on Tuesday night.
So that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, is that good messaging for the mediums, or are the mediums able to also deliver things that might be hard to hear?
Mediums, well, you could deliver things that could be hard to hear, but the thing about being a medium is that it's actually more related to Pluto. And so being a medium has a lot to do with Pluto, and how you come into mediumship will depend on your Neptune and moon placement. So, and their relation to Pluto. So, like, if some people are more moon based, some people are more Neptune based. If you're not sure, I can try to look and help you. There's so many different scenarios. But definitely, like, Neptune's in Pisces right now, so Neptune-based psychics are very strong right now anyway.
Yeah, have been for months.
Yeah, and have been. So that's why, and you can see psychics coming online.
And now that I'm learning about this, experiment and let us know. Write us a note. Hey, I did something during a void moon, and tell us how it went.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now you know. So it's not hard to look up the chart on when the void of course moon is. I realized that the chart that I was reading was Pacific time. I can always adjust that for Mountain time if you want to, but I just put Pacific time so everybody knew. You know how to adjust for yours.
Okay, cool. So yeah.
So then, of course, the moon leaves Libra and goes into Scorpio.
Okay, so it'll go into Scorpio at 2:00 in the morning, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, so if you start having crazy dreams.
Yeah, if you have a Scorpio moon, maybe you'll have Scorpio dreams. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder about that whole, especially sex dreams. Probably gonna have them on while moon's in Scorpio. Yeah, probably. Yeah. But anyway, so Venus so we're still, Mercury's moving along there. It's starting to slow down though, huh? Because it was at 25 the day before. 24. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, the moon's moving over. I feel like Tuesday night you can really take a deep breath from that eclipse energy of whatever you had to shed. By Tuesday, you'll at least know what you have to let go of. And then, this part of the week, I feel like will be a little, like Wednesday, Thursday, and through the weekend might be a little more chill than you have been leading up to this, unless you haven't dealt with whatever you had to shed. I feel like if you shed it, it would have, you know what I'm saying? Like if you worked on it leading up to this, you would have already gotten it. But if you're this, and so then this is like giving you like a little bit of like a breather. If you haven't dealt with it, if you are not facing it, it could be harder for you. You could be going through what everybody else already went through last week. And that's going to depend on your placements,
Yeah,
so.
because now the moon has moved into watery Scorpio. I know I never think of Scorpio as water, but it's really good to realize that as you transition from this, we're now in a water sign for the moon, which of course the moon is a water Cancer. and of course Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. But in answering to Pluto, it's a square. The moon's in a square to Pluto. So that's usually there's some stuff that's got to be dealt with, a decision that's got to be made. It's in a trine to Mars. So if you make the decision and take action, you could be really blessed by it. And of course, Pluto's about transformation. So, deal with what's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Recognize that transformation is always for the greatest good. Your greatest good, everyone around you's greatest good. It's kind of like where we started at the beginning of the talk.
See, intuitive based mediums might have a hard time while the moon is in square to Pluto. Because but they could overcome it, but they could have a challenge in their medium readings. Which happens, and I'm a moon-based medium, intuitive, and you kind of know if you're an intuitive medium because you just kind of feel it or sense it. More Neptune-based mediums tend to have like visions of it, like they've seen themselves being a medium. See, I'm kind of both because I've had both. So I have to I know that I can kind of go back and forth between the two, but some people are one or the other, some people are both. But yeah, so Neptune is more of like the visionary person, the person that sees themselves as a psychic or whatever, or knew that they would be a psychic, or you were the type that was like, mom's about to call, and then the phone rings, or you say, this is about to happen, and it does. Okay, those are Neptune-based psychics. Okay. So, but you can also look at your chart if you're not sure. Like if you're still developing, you may not know that. But that Yod is back. You can see the Yod is back with the South Node. It sort of kind of went away a little bit, but then came back with Venus and Saturn's movement. Came back with the South Node, who I noticed the nodes went forward. Yep, they went forward. So they went forward yesterday, Tuesday. Sorry, not yesterday. Tuesday, March. They'll go forward, which I think is an interesting concept to be happening during the eclipse, because typically the nodes are backwards. They're usually retrograde. And now they're going forward. And I was reading about that. And some people have different belief systems about it. But for me, I think it's sort of like making the steps forward into what you have to do in relation to whatever you just shed. And the nodes tend to be very internal anyway, because they're points related to the moon. Okay, are we ready? Thursday. We still have that. See, we still have the Yod pointing at the South Node there. But we also, the moon is in a lot of aspects on that day. Wow. Lots of inconjunct and a trine and opposite Uranus and Jupiter on Thursday. So it just makes me feel like the moon is very active that day. It's not void, right?
Nope.
So
it's 16 degrees, so it's right in the middle.
Yeah, so Scorpio moons, whew, hang on there.
Yeah, it's going to light up a lot of things on Thursday. And so the Jupiter Uranus piece, no small thing.
Could be some surprises on Thursday for people with strong Scorpio placements, Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon, or if you have a couple of placements in Scorpio, could just be kind of intense. You could have some surprises, but they could be really good surprises since it's in a trine to Neptune and Venus. So you may have had like an illusion about how you were going to make money, for instance, and then suddenly more of it comes in than you thought.
It's a good example.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to everyone. May you get surprised, wonderful business. May you be delightfully surprised.
Yeah, it could
easy
be.
It can be.
Could be really good. Also, if you have something in Taurus, obviously around like 16-ish degrees of Taurus, it could also, because the moon is across the sky, but it's in a trine to Venus, which is about money, love, relationships, and Neptune.
Oh, and this is, I think, when my Jupiter return perfects, because my Jupiter is at 16.
Oh, okay. Well,
in Taurus.
Look at that. Good luck.
Okay.
I hope it happens. I hope something happens really good.
Maybe we buy a lottery ticket this week. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Don't let me buy it because your Jupiter's in the 8th house, other people's money.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, that's a funny thing. You should always know that. Like if you have something in the 8th house, yeah, it's shadow and taboo subjects, but one of the taboo subjects is other people's money.
Yeah.
So get your spouse to buy the lottery ticket. So then this is Friday, March 29th. And the yacht is still going towards the south node. So hopefully you've let go of whatever you need to let go of. The moon is in a sextile to Pluto, so this is a great day for medium readings, especially if you're an intuitive medium. It's also, the moon is also in a trine to Neptune, so, and Venus.
Yeah, so the moon, the waning Scorpio moon, goes out. It goes void, of course, in the morning. So Friday morning, take the morning off if you think you can. 8:40 a.m. to almost 1 p.m. Pacific time, and then it goes into Sagittarius. And we know the moon sparkles in Sagittarius, and when it enters Sagittarius, it will answer to Jupiter, who's dancing with Uranus in Taurus.
Surprise!
And the moon is in a sextile to Pluto, squaring Mars, and we just talked about opposite Jupiter and Uranus.
Mm-hmm. And on Saturday, with that Sag moon, that's the biggest movement in the sky, other than I noticed that Venus is getting closer and closer to Neptune. Mm-hmm. So that makes me think about like maybe illusions about relationships or your money or whatever you might not been seeing about your money or whatever, you'll be seeing it now, because Neptune is going to help you have a better vision, maybe also for money or structures, especially with Saturn in Pisces too. We're in a Saturn in Pisces season, and so Venus could be helping you manifest better ways to make money, especially with Neptune. It's going to help you sort of vision, like if you want to make money doing something or improve your business and stuff like that. I've been having those kinds of visions recently. So,
and Mars is getting closer and closer to Saturn. So, Saturn's the workhorse.
Yeah.
And Mars is get her done, great initiator. So, yes, could be a great time to be mindful of that. Energy is going for you.
Yeah, so if you had some great idea or whatever, kicking it off on Saturday would be better than Friday since the moon is void. But on Saturday would be a great time to like get something started or work on that project, or at least vision what you were going to do, maybe share it with somebody. And because Mercury is in Aries, it's still going forward. So speaking what you want into fruition, even if you have to review it later, it's still good to speak it out. I'll tell you what, I've run businesses my whole life, online mostly, and when I've had all sorts of ideas, and lots of times shit fails. I'm just gonna say shit fails. Shit goes wrong. It doesn't work out. And I'm like, okay. But sometimes it does. And so when it does, you can just be delightfully surprised. And for me, it's like going fishing. Sometimes you catch something and sometimes you don't. And that's just the way it is. And I'm I'm okay with it. Like, and that's sometimes why I have 2 or 3 fishing poles going on at the same time. So that if one of them catches it, I'm going to be ready to catch it. And I'll let the other two, just sink to the bottom. And it's okay. And I just, that's my strategy. But you might have your own strategy. I'm just going to say though, like, if you have some great idea or something you want to do, just it's okay to it's okay if it fails or fucks up. And I never see a failure as a failure.
I was just gonna say
What
we
I
can
see is,
redefine that.
yeah, I don't even call it failing. Like, I don't even use that word usually. Usually what I say is, okay, well, I learned from that one. Okay, don't do that again. Right? Or, at least I can walk away with a lesson rather than, I just don't even really think about things that don't go right. Honestly, if I do something and it doesn't work out, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I have to do that a different way. That's what usually happens. And I just get curious about how I can change it. Okay. So, so that's like,
Or the old, I guess something else is supposed to happen here.
yeah, yeah, that happens too. Yeah. So, just try to think of it that way.
Memo, Spirit, could you run that one by me?
Mhm. Yeah. Like right now, I'm trying to get a grant for my nonprofit. I'm not sure how we'll do that. And I've said out loud that to Bright Hawk, I don't know how we'll get that. Maybe we can figure it out. Maybe it needs to shift. I don't know. But it feels pretty frustrating, but that's where we're at. Okay. So as we get into Sunday, um, Sunday looks like this, when does Mercury station? Does it station
On
probably
April 1st.
Oh,
It's
it
April
stations
1st,
on April 1st?
Not station. Starts its retrograde. Yeah,
Yeah.
April 1st.
So I'm thinking
27
I'm
degrees.
thinking it's stationed.
Right.
Yeah.
Is. 27 degrees is where it pivots.
When Mercury stations,
So
it can
maybe we should
sometimes
explain very quickly what a Mercury retrograde means. It doesn't mean that the planet is actually going backwards. You ever had the experience when you pull up to light and you're slowing down and maybe another car is slowing down you're at different speeds and it's an illusion. It's an illusion. So when we talk about Mercury retrograde, it's from our perspective, it appears as if it does a little loop. It doesn't mean that it's actually retrograde. It just means that from our perspective, it's retracing over that ground. And so the reason why people often get, retrograde, because people have learned and heard, oh, I need to be careful about my communication devices. You should back stuff up before April 1st if you're concerned about it. Things can tend to break. It's not a great time to sign
it's usually
contracts.
if it was already going to break anyway.
Yeah, if it was gonna, it tends to. Yeah. It's not a great time to sign contracts. It is a great time to review, refine, rewrite, anything that has "re" in the front of it, and so it can be useful. It can be quite practical because there's always times we need to review something and go, ooh, yeah, let me recheck that. Let me redo that. This is the time to do that.
Yeah, and so
a whole bunch of us, I don't know if it's 50% or not, have Mercury retrograde. Guess who at this table has Mercury retrograde? I do, which means we're back to, oh, I'm familiar with this. So other people might be freaking out because they have Mercury direct. And when retrogrades happen, what I notice, and the reason why we talk about the shadow period, the retrograde period, and the post shadow period, is I often like to think of it as we're all driving along on a bus, and all of a sudden a speed bump comes, and the driver didn't see it fast enough, the sign, and didn't slow down fast enough. And so the first part of the bus goes boop, and then the second part goes boop, and it's like, who's going to hit their head first? And so if you're sitting closer in the front of the bus, obviously you will. This metaphor is, some of us feel it when it's coming in, when it's like, Hollis tends to notice it even before it lands. And I notice their words get funny. I tend to notice as it comes in, and then now we're back to what I was born with. So I'm cool. I can get stuff done. Other people might feel opposite. So it's not good or bad. Nothing in astrology is good or bad. It is just more information to help you surf and do you the best possible way you can. And paying attention to, does this impact me or not? Or what is going on? People have started to pay attention. Oh, it's Mercury retrograde. Okay, da, 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 da.
So yeah, so like
everyone feels it.
if you're one of the signs that Mercury rules, which is Gemini or Virgo. So if you're a Gemini sun, Virgo or moon, or Gemini or Virgo sun, moon or rising, this you'll probably notice every time Mercury goes retrograde, okay? And if you have a bunch of stuff in Aries, or even just a couple of strong planets like the sun or something like that, Mercury is probably going to move over top of it. Okay. And so that, and it's stationing on this day, which is Sunday, March 31st. That means it kind of comes to a halt before it goes backwards. And so it just kind of like stays still, stationing. Think about it. It's just staying still. And things tend to kind of like get put on hold for a minute. Okay. And that's what happens to me usually. And then it starts to go backwards. And then for me, Mercury retrograde in Aries will probably have to do with my day-to-day living, because Aries rules my 6th house, which is also health. Hopefully it won't be health. Hopefully it'll be my day-to-day living. But what that means is that my computers might act crazy, or I might have a hard time getting things taken care of, or whatever it is. Okay. So like that's Mercury retrograde, and I'm a Virgo. So Mercury retrogrades definitely affect me, but I don't get stressed about it. Okay. I just am like, okay, here it comes. And then if I have something, I tend to be the tech person in the house. So I tend to worry about if the, if Mercury's going retrograde, is all the computers working okay? Is there anything that's supposed to break, or anything that's on the edge or anything like that that needs to be handled? Then I'm going to be thinking about that kind of stuff. So if you are a computer person or whatever, then you might want to think about that kind of thing. But it's in Aries. So look and see where Aries is in your chart. Okay. Look and see what house it's in. Mine happens to be in the 6th house. I think yours is in
The 7th.
7th house, in relationships. So it could be, maybe not, it could be with me, or it could be with other people. Maybe you might have some communication. Like other people will probably not communicate with you correctly, and then you'll be like, what the hell? Right? Okay. Something like that, right? Okay. So you should always just look and see what house Aries rules. And that's how it would affect you. If you have planets there, or it's a strong placement for you, it'd probably be more powerful. If and it is squaring Pluto. So on this day, on Sunday, for everyone, it's probably going to slow progress, slow change. So it could be a break, actually, from instead of seeing it as it stalling, you could instead see it as a break.
There we
Take a deep
go.
breath.
And the void of course moon, Sag is going to leave, the moon is going to leave Sagittarius on Sunday night. So if you want to take a break, The void of course moon is from 5:16 p.m. to 9:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
So it sounds like Sunday
So-
night's a good time to take a break.
Chill.
Take a break on Sunday.
Take a break on Sundays. So I think it's a good thing to do.
All right. All right, my friends.
What do you think of all of that, LeKross?
I'm overwhelmed. Like that's gonna be a hell of a week. I mean, yeah, it's a lot. But I think it's just gonna bring a lot of people to the point of making decisions, doing things, following through. And that's gonna be a pretty intense part on that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah. Because I know like I did have a question.
Go for it.
We say that like on Monday or Tuesday, that's when you basically this is when you're gonna know. But could you have like been knowing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You should have been knowing.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what I was wondering. And I'm like, or is it like that's gonna be like the confirmation? Like you've been knowing this has been going on all
You
this
might
time,
have
or you
some
have
confirmation.
right.
And then also, but for the fix, so what happens is the cardinal people with a heavy cardinal chart, which is like me, I tend to have a lot of cardinal. I'm actually well balanced. Okay. So I also tend to go through things first. So I'll experience it. And then Bright Hawk tends to be very mutable. So then she'll experience it. Okay. But people with a lot of fixed energy will be like, oh, I don't want this to change. Okay. And we'll be like, just let it go, man. It's easier. Right. Because and that's the difference. And the fixed signs are like Scorpio, Taurus, and Aquarius. So they may resist. And you have to look at your chart. When you look at your chart, there should be like a little scorecard in the corner that tells you what your points are as far as mutable, because it's based on like what planet is in what sign, and there's like a little bit of a scoring system.
Or you can come and get a chart reading from Hollis.
I'll
We'll
give it to you. Yeah, I'll look it up for you
You're
and
this
give it
much
to you.
mutable, fixed.
Yeah, and you could be like me. I'm very balanced. I have a lot of cardinal energy, but I also have a lot of mutable and fixed energy too. I'm actually quite balanced.
I have a ton of fire, almost very little water.
Apparently she does.
0 degrees.
and I actually don't have much fire at all. And so it's great that, then that explains sometimes when you're in relationships, like sometimes if you need a certain element, you'll find out that your spouse, that your partner actually has that element.
They have the cardinal, I have the mutable. And thank goodness, because we go places.
Because I'm like, oh, God. I'll carry it out.
I'll carry it out. I'll be the go along, get along. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
But I won't even have the concept. It won't even occur to me, the ideas that come out of you. Like, wow, yeah, I'd be down for that.
And so that's pretty much, it's not that cardinals are smarter or whatever. It's just that cardinal gets you out of the gate. And so that's the beginning of each season. So that's going to be like Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So I have two placements. I have two major planets. Oh my gosh. I have two major planets in Aries. My Saturn is at the top of the sky for me, and Saturn is there in Cancer. And then I have 4 planets in Libra. So, and including my moon, which is very, very strong. So, like, my intuition is on point, right? I don't have much in Capricorn at all, but you can see 3 of my cardinal signs in my chart have major placements in them. So it's like Jupiter, and so that's how you can figure it out. And LeKross, I think if you do it on Astro, I'm sure you can figure it out somewhere in there. Like you want to find out the points if you're more what mode your chart is. That's what they call it. They call it your mode.
Yeah.
It's like cardinal, fixed, or mutable.
Right.
So what you might notice on Monday and Tuesday is that if you have any fixed sign people in your life, they might just come to the realization of what they have to shed, and you'll be like, I told you.
And the fixed, just to be clear, the fixed are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. These are the ones who are fixed. You know what that means.
And but they're also very loyal. I'm a Scorpio rising.
I'm a Leo moon, very loyal.
And I have Venus in Leo, so Taurus is my opposite, right? Okay, so it's fixed signs are very loyal and consistent, and they will always do the same thing over and over. You can rely on them to do things, but cardinals, you can rely on them to get you out of the gate.
Aquarius always surprises me as a fixed sign because it's got Uranus as its leader, and I always think of Uranus and Aquarians as pot stirrers, and they are not interested in doing things the same way. They are not like, okay, well, we've always done it that way. No, that does not work for an Aquarian. But they're very,
it's a very hard sign to understand anyway.
Yeah,
because it's
the water bearer, but it's an air sign.
Yeah, it's like represented by somebody pouring water, and you're like, okay, so it's a water sign. It has like little water waves, and you're like, no, it's an air sign. And then you're like, what? And then on top of that, it's fixed. And Aquarians tend to be very, they're ruled by Uranus, which is
because they're air, which is thinking. That's where that's how I finally understood Aquarians' fixed energy, is because Aquarians know what they think. And that sign in particular can be a little bit of my way or the highway,
Yeah.
So when you get it from that perspective, it's like, oh, that's where their fixed air energy is. Okay. So it's always really good to look at this stuff, and also just it helps us be flexible, right? We're not all the same. We process at different speeds. What matters to me is not necessarily what matters to you, but there's lots of things we can agree on. So that's why I love astrology. There's just so much you can learn about yourself first, because that's the only one you can control is yourself. And it'll help you let go of needing to control or thinking you can control anybody else when you start to look at people's charts and you go,
yeah,
oh my God.
You just start to recognize that everybody's on their own journey.
Everybody's on their own journey. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a reason and a meaning, and we all have different needs and wants for lots and lots of different reasons. So how about the cards? Oh, wait, what about the moon? Who's our animal for the moon?
We are still, no, we're properly into the hawk season. So we just started last week, at the end of last week. So we started with the hawk. And I think with this, it's kind of the same vibe of the winds of change. It's just fly with it and keep focused, keep your direction, keep your eyes keen. That's going to be key to all of it, is just keep your eyes keen and ride that current. Don't go against it, because if you try and fly against it, you're just making it harder for yourself. And that's kind of like the theme I'm seeing with the hawk right now, and how all the planets are going, is just ride that,
in the bird's eye view.
Yeah,
makes me think about like eclipses definitely give you a bird's eye view of things.
Yeah.
And they call me Bright Hawk because when I remember to stay in my hawk self, my spiritual, see the bigger picture, it really changes everything.
Yeah, it definitely does.
So I'm going to pull 3 cards from the tarot, from my tarot deck, the Pride deck, Love is Love. And the first card here, this is about, this is a really cool card because this is the 5 of Wands, but this is about things that we've protested in the past, things that we didn't like in the past, arguments from the past, disagreements from the past could come up. And this is a reminder about those disagreements and the meaning or belief that you had in that. So like if you were protesting, you had to have some sort of belief, right? Okay. And so you had some sort of belief in the right way to go. And it's not just like protests, like, you went to Washington, D.C. to protest something. It's also like the arguments in your home and your family where you said, no, you can't do that. This is a reminder of that. Okay. Or at your work, if you were challenging something, this is about that. This is about that argument. And then the next card is the Six of Cups, which is very much about giving ourselves self-care, the sweetness in life. It's very innocent and delightful. So this is a giving yourself a break, giving yourself a gift, which I think we've seen a couple of times to have a break this week. So, this is about giving yourself that break, giving yourself that little treat, taking care of yourself, self-care. That's pretty much what this is about. And then going into the future, this is coming up. This is about celebrating the wins that you have. This is the financial gains. This is financial wins. And that's pretty much what this is about. This is like a well done, and to recognize and to celebrate where you've gained financially, or how things have come in a better way, or not just money, but it could also be other resources that have come to you in a good way, and to recognize that. So you could have some other resources that come into you, and this is pretty much a reminder of that. So remember the protests that you had earlier in the week, and remember that has something to do with the now, and maybe just to give yourself a break from it. Okay, give yourself a break from all of that, and your passion leading you forward and all of that. It will still go forward. You will still win. Okay, because we've seen the end, right? We still will win. But for now, take a little break. Give yourself a break, because you're going to get there one way or another. And that's what the cards are trying to reassure. The eclipse is trying to reassure you that you will get there. April 8th will be the solar eclipse. So a lot of things will come to completion by then. And so that's what we're seeing here. And, this is the Four of Pentacles. So this is pretty much like, okay, and these are the gifts you're going to see as a result of that. Okay, and these are the good things that came about, and these are the resources that were increased because of your work, or whatever you had to let go, whatever you made room for, right? We're all making room for something right now.
Good stuff. Wow.
Very good.
I was fascinated how the cards reflect this, the overall reading.
Yeah. So
very cool.
Well, I'm grateful for all your commenting and sharing of our videos and our podcast. We appreciate that. We appreciate the followers and such that we've had. Please share. Please get it out there. We appreciate you when you do that. It helps us. None of us make any money doing this. So it's great.
This is for the love of astrology, baby, for the love of you and the love of the stars.
Yep. And so we appreciate Meredith and Candy. I think it's Candy Joe. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you are watching and listening. We appreciate you so much. And, we just wanted to let you know that we hear you and that we are we're listening. So we like it when you comment. Thank you for that. And please like and share and comment and those kinds of things.
Have a great week.
Well, thanks for watching Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be the bridge between you and the stars.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soulstrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.